Welcome to another Panthers Spotlight. We focus on the Ohio Dominican men's soccer team, and joining us now is Joe Dietering. He is a transfer from Chicago State, joined the men's soccer team this year, and he is our Panthers Spotlight for today. Joe, thanks for taking the time and being with us here. First off, let's just talk about the season a little bit, how it's gone. I know it hasn't been a great start for the team in the non-conference portion of things. Just kind of describe for me, you've started 3 games in goal so far for Coach Merrick. Just kind of take me through camp and how the season has gone for you guys thus far.
Yeah, for sure. Fall camp went pretty good. I think guys came in ready to put in the work. Personally, I came out pretty excited to get the opportunity to play quite a few games this year. Throughout the non-conference games, we had a couple tough games. I think Trevecca Nazarene was a tough game. We played against Lee just last week. They were ranked 21st in the nation, so it was a pretty big test. We got a good result against Roosevelt. We tied them 1-1. I think that was a decent result for the guys. I think we're just looking to get into that final third and finish our chances and try to do better with that. So
yeah, that was going to be my question. What's the message now been so far, whether it's been amongst the coaching staff or the players?
Yeah, I think right now you have to look at it as we're 0-0 going into conference play, but then we also have to go out there and, like Coach Merrick's mantra is to attack and dominate. And in those instances where we have a chance to score, we have to score, because at the end of the day, you can't win games without scoring goals.
So tell me the challenges of being a goalie.
Yeah.
You're the last line of defense. Yeah. You're kind of back there on an island all on your own. It's interesting because if you liken it to hockey, if you will, the goalie, again, last line of defense, but it's a smaller net.
Yeah.
The goalies can actually cover it. You're a big guy, about 6'4" or so. But still, it's pretty tricky back there, goalie. What's the challenges for you? Yeah,
for sure. I think every goalkeeper gets that. I think the misconception is that being a goalkeeper is just the easiest part of soccer. You're just kind of standing out there, but that's a huge misconception. I think one of the harder things and one of the challenges is like the mental piece of the game, trying to stay completely locked in after making a mistake. Or if you feel like you didn't play a good ball or a good pass, you have to re-engage right away and find a way to flip that switch in your head. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is trying to stay engaged mentally, especially after maybe making a mistake or a bad pass. So.
Is it more pressure in a tie game or up a goal?
Oh, I think definitely up a goal, because you're expected to keep a clean sheet, and for me, like, I hold myself to pretty high standards. I like to keep the ball out of the back of our net. And I want to win the game at the end of the day for our guys and get out with a defensive clean sheet. So
how hard are penalty kicks?
They're pretty difficult. I like to try to get into the head of my opponent as much as I can, and but it definitely can be a little bit tough to not always have that. Like, you have to guess sometimes, and it's not always a given that you're going to save it. But I love it. It's a challenge, and when you come up big with a big save, then all the boys are around you cheering for you, and it feels good. So.
Well, and it's hard to have a book on your opponent, somebody you typically don't see. So, maybe at the professional level, guys have tendencies, or they've been playing for a while, and you have an idea. Here at the college level, you're staring at a guy you probably have never seen play before until that night. So that's got to make it doubly hard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the professional level, you see a bunch of keepers. They have some stats written down on their water bottles, so it can definitely help them out in that way. So.
Our Panther Spotlight here with Joseph Dietering, goalkeeper here for the Ohio Dominican Panthers. All right, I want to dive into your personal life, because it's very interesting to me. It's one thing to just pull up a bio and says that you're from Miller City, Ohio, which I had to look up on a map. I'm pretty versed in all my towns in Ohio. Miller City was not at the top of my list of where I knew it was from, and then I do a little bit further diving. And you really didn't even grow up in Miller City, Ohio. You grew up in South America, in Ecuador. Tell me about how all of that kind of meshes together.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was about 3 years old, my parents decided they wanted to do ministry in Ecuador. And we started off in Quito, which is the capital of Ecuador and in the mountains of Ecuador. And then after a year of living there, we moved into like the rainforest area in a town called Archidona, Ecuador. And it was an amazing experience for me, because it was just my life, and learned Spanish there, got to play the beautiful game of football, as in Spanish terms, and soccer here. and that kind of just led into my college career with playing soccer at the college level.
So when did you move back to the States?
Moved back in 2017.
How old were you?
I was about 13 or 14 years old, so I was going into middle school. I started playing like middle school soccer, like the grassroots soccer at Miller City High School, and then continued to play at Miller City High School. And we kind of turned the program around from my freshman year being a pretty low team in the rankings in Ohio and being 4-16 or something like that, to my senior year going almost undefeated with 3 losses. So, yeah.
So how did you reacclimate? I mean, you didn't really know the United States. You didn't know Ohio until you came here as a early teenager. How did you acclimate yourself?
Yeah, it was tough at first. I will say that. It's like a foreign student coming to the U.S. to play college soccer almost, but I think it was a little bit easier having my whole family around me in that instance. I think one of the biggest things that helped me out was sports. I was able to get to Miller City, Ohio, and I was already athletic with baseball and soccer. So I was able to go out and compete for starting spots, no matter if it was baseball or soccer. So I think that environment of being around guys that were my teammates and just learning the different cultural cues in the U.S. was really helpful. Yeah.
So, I mean, you would have known hardly any English. I mean, you 2 or 3 years old, as you said, when you moved. So basically, Spanish was your first language, right?
In a way, we
spoke
English in the home, but that's a valid question because I moved there when I was 3. So how it worked was in the house we spoke English, and then out on the pitch or out with my friends I spoke Spanish. So it was pretty easy to kind of juggle both of them at the same time, even though it sounds a little bit hard, but at that age you're like, okay, this is normal.
That's all you know.
This is all I'm doing.
Right.
Like I get home and talk English to my parents.
So obviously that's where the love of soccer came from down there. How different is the game there compared to here?
It's different in some small aspects. I think like here in the U.S., I think you have the big 3 with basketball, baseball, and football. Down in Ecuador, it was just soccer. Any other sport was kind of put on the back burner. So there was a lot of passion within the game, and there was a lot of the technical ability there was huge. In the U.S., I think one of the big things that stand out is the physicality of the game, which is a lot different from foreign soccer.
So let's fast forward then. So you grow up in northwestern Ohio, you move to a completely different country, you come back to small town USA, and you end up at Chicago State, which I know nothing about as well. So I'm assuming somewhere in Chicago is where Chicago State is. So now you're in what, the 2nd or 3rd largest town in the country, right?
For sure.
What are you doing with yourself here?
I know. Yeah, so I like to kind of see myself as pretty adaptable, but I was at University of St. Francis my freshman year, which is an NAIA school, and then transferred out to Chicago State after a pretty good season my freshman year under Coach Jake Essig. And then at Chicago State, it's Southside Chicago, so I was there for about 2 years, and it's a historically black school, so I got to learn a bunch of different things about different cultures, and just had a bunch of Jamaican teammates and a couple teammates from Trinidad and Tobago. So it was a really cool experience to see different diversity within a group and how it works and how it can work for our favor. So that was a great experience.
How'd you end up at Tiny ODU?
I ended up at Tony ODU mainly because I want to be closer to family. Obviously there's a soccer opportunity, but I also really enjoy the strong faith-based the Catholic faith on our campus and what that has to offer to me personally. And my parents are just 2 hours away, so it's like perfect.
So when do you stop packing and unpacking?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to. I'm going in my senior year, so this is my home for right now, and I think after.
What's your major?
My major is business
so
marketing.
What's the plan for that?
My plan is to hopefully get a job back at home at some point, but I'd like to see how far soccer can take me. My biggest goal is to play at the professional level, and we'll see where that takes me. So.
Well, I mean, obviously well-traveled,
Yeah.
well-versed, different languages, different towns, different communities, and a whole probably different context in that mobile device that you have for sure, right?
For sure.
Right. Well, it was really neat catching up to you, and very eloquent the way you described everything. It's quite a story, and we wish you nothing but success the rest of the season with the soccer team.
Thank you so much.
Joseph Dietering right here on our Panthers Spotlight. If you'd like to catch more of these, make sure you tune in to OhioDominicanPanthers.com. Check out our YouTube page and make sure that you follow all of the games on Flow College this year. This is Todd Bell with tonight's Panther Spotlight.